Hello, everyone. My name is Dawid Bastek, and today I prepared for your presentation how to improve your mobile project in one day, a guide for everyone. First of all, briefly about me. I am mobile QA engineer since 2017, and I work mostly with mobile technologies like Android and iOS. I am also a creator of Apka, mobile testing meetup, and a huge fan of basketball and ultimate frisbee. Below my social media, and if you want to talk about my presentation or anything related to mobile testing or maybe Ultimate Frisbee, you can message me on the LinkedIn. I will try to answer as fast as possible. Also, you can add me to your network on LinkedIn as you wish. Agenda for today, a short introduction, why this presentation. Also, I will be talking about a few tools which were really helpful during my work and also during my projects. It will be mostly about, the presentation will be mostly about good practice and some basics. There's no rocket science, and all tools was added by myself into the projects. I hope you are ready as me. Let's go. Why this presentation? Once I worked in the project where my client decided to create a whole new application for iOS. It was a greenfield project. He hired a few really talented people, included me, and we started working with something new, which was really interesting for us. And after a few weeks, we faced some obstacles. So I told you the project was kind new, right? But it wasn't true. My client had Android application for 7 years on the market, and he decided to create the same one for iOS with the same feeling, look, and experience, user experience. But as you can imagine, it's not possible, right? If you at least seen the same application on iOS and Android, there's a different user experience. They had different guidelines, so it's not possible to create the same application for both platforms. Also, the lack of documentation was an issue. We had something from Android, but they are not up to date, and they not created any designs for iOS. There was no test cases, no documentation. We need to figure out how to work with the application, how to create them. There was no one from UX department who can help us, or analytics, so it wasn't easy. Also, unusual technology stack was that client decided to use a Kotlin multi-platform as a technology for iOS and Android, and he decided to take a core of Android application and build on top of that native views for Android and iOS. For Android, it was in Kotlin. For iOS, it was in Swift. So you can imagine how big mess it was inside, how much layers we had, and how it was not easy to find anything in the code, right? Oh, that was really messy stuff. Also, our team worked for the first time together, so everyone had a different experience, different knowledge about good practice, and we need to find our common language about that. Also, our tech lead was an Android guide, and sometimes he tried to force solutions from Android to iOS, and it wasn't helpful at all. But we find few tools which were really helpful for us, and I hope it will be also helpful for you. And let's start. The first tool is a README file. I think everyone heard about the README file, right? Everyone who at least once worked with Codebase, did some project setup and etc. The README file is kind of documentation for how to use your project, how to configure your project, what's about your project for the first time. Why a good README is so important? if you're starting your first work and someone told you, okay, go to the README file, there's the information about how to start with the project, it's fine if everything is there, right? But I don't remember how many times there was a situation when README file wasn't up to date, and as a new employee, I need to find someone who can help me to figure out why my project is not building, why it's not working. And I was walking around and asking people how to run my project, and I think it wasn't nice. And like in the point two, the introduction to for new employees, and it wasn't easy. Also, README file can be a calling card. What's that mean? If you start for the first time calling, for, I don't know, if you are someone who learns something new and want to show off to a recruiter, it's a good place to show your skills on the GitHub and put the information about your project, because mostly recruiters are not the technical guys, so they don't understand technical stuff inside. So it's good to have a really readable and good and up-to-date README. Also, good README improves your writing skills, because having a clear, short, and readable and up-to-date README file is not easy, and it's really tough art to prepare this kind of documentation. So this is an example how a bad README file can look like, and believe me, I saw it in my project, which I was talking about on the beginning. Also, I saw it in some project of my colleagues who asked me to do a code review for them, side projects mostly. And this is an example how the good README file can look like. If you are looking for some kind of inspiration, I think most of open source projects have a really good documentation with an information about the project, precondition, installation, how to run tests, and how to run the project. And of course, nice to have about the license. The second tool is also related to the documentation, but it's used during the pull request. It's a pull request template, and it's used during the creating of pull requests. I really recommend to use it. Let's see how it looks, how it looks like. So on this pull request, screenshot with a pull request, you can see there is missing some reviewers. Also, the most important part, there's no description, so you don't know what the author mean during creating the pull request. Also, you can match pull requests, and there is no blockers. Probably we can fix it by using pull request templates. And this is an example of what pull request template can have it inside. A bunch of questions. Of course, pull request template is not only for your teammate, but also it's for us, to help us to find thoughts about the description, about what we exactly do inside our PR and what changes we did. So you can put some extra question about refactoring, about maybe some extra solution from the blog. You can add to-do list with a checks about testing and required reviewers and etc. But it's a huge one. I mean, it's quite big and with a lot of questions. And if your organization is mature enough, of course, you can use it. But on the beginning, I recommend to use something simpler, like a simple question: what does this PR do? It's, I think, enough to start thinking about it. Also, we can add some extra and as a nice to have related tickets, information, and it's really good. This is how it looks like when you add the configuration file into your GitHub or source tree or Bitbucket or GitLab. And this is only a text, so you can remove it, right? But still, maybe someone leave it and put some information here. The third tool, which I want to talk about, I think everyone is using it, or even if you are not conscious about it, but dependency in packages manager is something what can help to have the consistent environment for everyone in your team, in your project, to not losing your time for updating libraries manually, just only running one command and everything is up to date for you, everything works. And here are some examples about some examples of packages managers like APM, Yarn, Gradle. I think everyone. I think you are familiar with that, at least. But also, packages managers are not only about keeping consistency of your environment, but also to keep them safe. There's an example of situation from the beginning of this year where author of NPM libraries like Chorus and Faker sabotage their own project. For more information, Chorus is like 3 billion downloads and Faker 300 million downloads around, and it used in 20,000 projects, so quite a big numbers, right? So, and author decided to sabotage his project because the project was open source and it was free, and he was unhappy about that because he didn't get any dotation for his work, so he decided to corrupt files in the newest version, and he just sabotaged the project, corrupted the files. And imagine the situation, I think, where you have a colleague, or I think everyone has a colleague who like to have the latest version of some kind of libraries, right? So, and because there's kind of new emoji or something like that in the newest version, so it's very important to have new emoji everywhere. And he didn't think about to have versioning of libraries. He just only have the latest version. So because we are using CI/CD tools, because we are agile, we want to be as fast, we want to run everything as fast as possible. So you are came to your work on the morning and see everything is right, because after the build, we download the latest version of the libraries, which was corrupt, and voila, we need to find a solution. We need to figure out what's happened. So if you are lucky, you lost at least a few hours, if not probably a few days, until you understand what's happened. How to prevent that? You can not have a you can have inside your configuration not a latest version of your library, but some version, some specific version, and you bump to the version by yourself with a knowledge what is inside the next version of your library. And this is the solution, and keep your library safe. And it's a really good practice. The fourth tool is Linter. Linter is a tool for keeping your code in a good health, and also for its kind of static analyze tool, which is looking for styling, but also looking for some problems inside your code. And how it looks like. It's an example of a code from Swift Xcode, and there's a bunch of tests inside. On the beginning, I think on the first look, there's no problems, right? But when we run a linter, or we can see something like this. And our automation tool for linting our code, what does that mean? Checking if all rules are not broken, we can see this information. And I remember days when I was doing a code review, and we didn't use linter, so I saw a lot places where there was some extra vertical white space, extra enter, or another broken naming convention, and I need to focus on that, and I losing my time during the code review on such things like this, instead of focusing on the logic of the PR. So if you are using linters, you can save your time, not maybe avoid, but you can save your time and your colleagues for not checking the things like this, but on focusing on the logic of your PR, which is more important, right? And how it works in mobile. So for Android, we have linter inside our Android Studio. So you can jump into the settings, editor, inspections, and voila, you have all information about your linters. You can turn it on, off, as you wish. Also, you can create your custom one if you want. It's quite simple. How is it with Apple products, with Xcode and Swift? So this is a funny thing, right? Because I am always talking that Apple is not creating products for developers, but for users to look them good and smooth. But for us, he's not making our lives easier. So as you can assume, there's no linter inside the Xcode. And good for us, the community is here and help us with a Swift lint, which is an open source project and have a lot of rules, over 200 for iOS. You can contribute, you can modify in the configuration file your rules, turn it on, turn it off. As like in Android Studio, you can create your own. It's really handy and useful thing, and it's really helpful. But it's really helpful when you working in your daily basics with your code and inside your Xcode or Android Studio. But there is a tool which makes linter even better, because it works with your CI/CD and you get the information inside your pull request, which is Danger. Danger is a tool for automation of small things around pull requests, like adding extra warnings, custom messages, or something like that, or information about code coverage and etc. And also with a linter. So this is another example of pull request. Right now we have our pull request template inside, at least, but still there's no review as you can manage your pull request. Also, it would be nice to have linter information inside your PR, because we want to have an information for our reviewers faster and also for us. So we add our danger here, and there's what we have after, like warnings, which came from the linter in our CI/CD tool. Also some information about broken naming of your branch, or you can add an information about running UI tests. For example, we had once a situation where our UI tests aren't not inside our development process. So when you're creating a pull request and merging something, the UI tests are not running automatically, but they are outside, and you need to do that manually. So we add extra information inside our PR. Did you run tests on Jenkins? If not, it would be nice to have it, right, to do that. And it was a kind of reminder, and Danger is really useful for that. Also, the good things, Danger is not only for mobile, but you can use this with a JavaScript, with Python. It's the most mature with the Ruby. So I recommend to try it. And the last tool, which is also very useful, I think, but you can get them only if you are an admin of your repository or you have an admin rights from your organization. A branch protection rules, it's an example on the GitHub. So there's a place for settings where there's a branches, and you can add your protection rule, which can protect your branch for some unwanted merges or something like that. So we're creating a pattern for a branch, and I will be talking mostly only about these three from the top rules, which are the most handy for me and the most used. So the first one is required a pull request before merging, right? It will be nice to have a pull request before we merge anything. And also when you check this, you can also choose how much approvals you want during your pull request. It's really nice to have it. The second thing is require status checks to pass before merging. It's also really nice if your repository is connected with some CI/CD tool like a Bitrise or Jenkins. You can create a webhook between them and have status checks if your builds are green on CI or not. It can block, for example, your merge until someone resolved the problems related to the CI, maybe some tests or something like that. Also, there's an option to keep your current branch with the newest version of develop, another master branch. It's really nice. And the third thing, which is here, require conversation resolution before merging. It's nice to have. I really like this option because at least I know that someone read my message or comment on his PR. So when you add it, all of these things, you can feel like this guy, and you can feel like you just prevent unwanted changes on your in your project from yourself or from your teammates. And this is something what we have at the beginning without our tools, and this is something what we have after our changes, after adding our tools here. There's no option to merge pull request. There's information from danger, from linter. Also on the top you have information about pull request template, from pull request template, and etc. And key takeaways at the end. So remember, do things don't start with some big changes, start with something small. For example, like in this presentation, I introduce you 6 tools which you can add one by one in a small chunks of code with every sprint or something like that. And it's easy to maintain and easy to explain what you're just adding. Just do simple things and simple improvements. Also, remember the automation is your ally, like a danger or linter, which can help to let them do a boring and repetitive work to focus on something much more interesting and much more interesting for us. Also, don't be afraid to experiment. It's very important to create your proof of concepts. Is that even if you don't feel with this, it's really good exercises for you to learn about something new tools, to improve your project, and to have a discussion with your teammates, and trust your team, discuss with them, and show your changes. And that's it. Thank you very much.